Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you might be in the world. My name is Jan de Man. I work for the Busworld Academy, and I'm very happy to welcome almost 350 participants in this webinar on digital strategies in bus and coach companies. Now, since 1974, Busworld has been the main platform to organize the dialogue between all stakeholders in our industry. And since April this year, in this specific time, we have been organizing this platform virtually, right? We have global webinars on specific subjects, but we also have regional webinars focusing on the situation in India, in China, Latin America, Europe, etc. Right? So we focus on specific teams and we focus on the regions. And we do this actually to bring back together and to exchange ideas and insights in our industry itself. We launched a month ago a series of webinars on the comeback of the coach industry via digital strategies, right? We want to hear about the theoretical concepts about that, but we also want to hear some best practices, some best cases, some companies. And I'm very happy today that we can present to you 5 speakers with clear experience in that field. And this series of webinars, I'm very proud to say that we'll be able to do this together with CheckMyBus. CheckMyBus and several people of CheckMyBus are Busworld Academy experts, and they are partnering in this series of webinars. Now, the experiences in digital strategies acting in measure against the consequences of this COVID crisis are linked to the customer journey, right? What digital strategy focuses on what aspect, of the customer journey. Now, to link today's speakers and this customer journey, I'm very happy to invite Ms. Lorena Dinato, who is the head of content of CheckMyBus and our partner in this webinar. Very welcome, Lorena. Can you please take the word after I come to Hannes, my colleague Hannes, who will address to you, ladies and gentlemen, with the logistic aspects of this webinar. Hannes?
Yes, thanks a lot, Jan. Hold on a second, I will quickly share my screen. There we go. Okay, so in today's webinar, we will use Zoom, as you all know, and I will here quickly introduce the functions that we will use today. So the first one is the chat function. You will find that here at the bottom of your screen. If you push it here, then this window at the right of your screen will appear. Here at the bottom, you can choose to talk to all the panelists and the attendees. This function is meant to talk amongst the attendees, okay? If you have questions that you want to ask the panelists of today, then you will need to use the Q&A function, okay? So next up is Q&A. So that's this button right over here. If you push Q&A button, this screen will appear. Here you can write down your question. Once you've done that, you can also choose to send it anonymously, so nobody knows who asked the question, and then you just hit the send button. Okay. Afterwards, you have an overview of all your questions, and you also have the option to upvote questions that other attendees asked. Okay, so you just do that by hitting the like button right here. And you can also see your own questions. Here you have an overview. Okay. Next, we will launch a few polls during this webinar, 4 to be exact. You don't need to do anything. This will appear on your screen automatically. So what only thing you need to do is answer the question, of course. So you just push the right answer and then you hit the submit button. Okay. Last but not least, during today's webinar, we will have a live translation from English to Spanish. So for all the people who would like to hear the Spanish channel, what you need to do is push the interpretation button here at the bottom of your screen, and then this will appear. Here you just select Spanish if you'd like to hear the Spanish channel, or English if you prefer the English channel. Okay. If you do not want to hear the original audio of the moderator or the speakers who are talking in English, for example, then you can mute them by pushing this button. Okay. Perfect. So that's it for the technical background. Good luck and
Thank
enjoy
you
the
so
webinar.
much, Hannes. What we need to mention, ladies and gentlemen, is that we make it a point of honor to ourselves to answer every question you will be asking in the Q&A function. That means that I will try to ask your questions after the presentation to the speakers, but if we don't have time for all your questions, the speakers will write the answers and they will be available on the Busworld Academy and the CheckMyBus website from next week onwards. The chat function is communication amongst yourselves. So only the questions you ask in the Q&A will be answered. We guarantee that they will be answered by our experts. As I promised, Lorena, up to you.
Many thanks, Jan. Many thanks, Hannes. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. My name is Lorena Dinato. I'm the head of content for CheckMyBus, saying hi from Germany, from Nuremberg. I'm responsible for the entire content on the webpage of CheckMyBus. Today, my job is to take you on a short introduction through the customer journey. So what is it about and which steps are to be considered, right? So here you see the entire customer journey. Each of the blue bubbles on the slide represents one of the 4 main touch points. The first blue bubble stands for the demand, moving towards an attractive offer, followed by the user experience, and last but not least, the loyalty and retention. Well, it's important to understand that a customer journey is simply the experience any customer has with your company over the journey, but also over the duration of your relationship. So the key in creating a strong overall customer journey is about to match the customer's experiences and meet with their expectations. We kick off the customer journey focusing on demand. Demand is understanding the needs of the user and the overall routes and services we provide. So trying to get an answer to questions as what cities can somebody travel to and when or how often can somebody go somewhere. So looking deeper into demand, smart and dynamic planning makes it possible for us to meet the demand of users in an intelligent way. Demand also deals with new business. So according to this, 2 of our speakers will address new business opportunities with their companies. So first we welcome Paola Daddato from Flipco. Paola, sorry, you will understand the mismatch of names. So Paola is going to talk about Flipco's expansion, describing different solutions to the last mile problem. Second, and there it's a pleasure also to welcome Paolo Beria, Associate Professor of Transport Economics at the TRASPOL and Politecnico di Milano. Paolo is going to dive into the future of intermodality for the bus and coach industry. So now that we have service, the demand, we need an attractive offer, which is in the second bubble. So thanks to your demand planning, here it is, when we can promote the specific route we know our customers are going to look for. In addition to that, the next question comes up, which is what is the right price? And finally, can we find ways to get that attractive offer in front of our customers by using multiple acquisition channels? And actually, that's where CheckMyBus serves as a bridge. So as a large acquisition channel. With that, providing your customers your attractive offer and then driving them to your site to buy the ticket. Especially in these times, we encourage and recommend to look at distribution channels to get offerings out to the most customers possible. After an attractive offer comes obviously the user experience, which is the third touch point. So now that we have the perfect route and the best price, your customer needs to purchase the ticket. So user experience lives in the digital world and covers everything from your public facing website to the e-details of e-commerce and conversion. So questions here come up as, how can a customer buy tickets online? Can a customer modify tickets? Is all the information for the trip given? That's why we have here today José Juan from Turismo Civa, who will speak on the user experience and specifically his company's relaunch of their e-commerce platform, describing also there why this is such an important move now during this Corona times to do so. Last but certainly not least in our circle is the point loyalty and retention. Now that you have the perfect route and the best price and your customers have bought the ticket and finally took their journey, question there, how do you get them to come back again and again and again? Inside this touch point, we can look at creating tools such as traditional loyalty programs, which now more than ever are moving digitally. However, in today's times, loyalty and retention also involves outbound marketing and communications. Having a strong message and relaying that message to the customers provides confidence in traveling with your company. Especially in these times, this is one of, if not the most important aspect of retention. That's why we have MarinoBus today here, represented by Dabbicco and Marika, who will talk about their company's marketing and messaging as one of the first companies that restarted their service in Italy after having been off of the road for a certain while. And unfortunately, we know that Italy had a lockdown for a while. So I'm very excited to welcome all the speakers to today's webinar. Looking forward to your presentations. With that, once more, many thanks to Busworld Academy and the great collaboration. Having said that, I turn it over to Jan to get it started.
Thank you so much, Lorena, and thanks to you as well. We really appreciate this partnership. Right. Thank you. This introduction was just perfect. It makes very clear in what part of the customer journey each speaker is going to interfere. We all know that each company and institution is working in the entire customer journey, but in the framework of this presentation today, they focused on one aspect of it, as Lorena clearly said. Let's get started. Paolo, you're from Flipco. You're working at the Innovation and Digital Marketing department there. How did you create demands? How did you detect what your clients are asking for? And how did you, during this Corona crisis, expand your business doing in a digital way what you have been doing? Good, Paolo?
So thank you, Jan. First of all, thank you for the invitation and for having me here today. So I will explain you how we at Flipco, we expanded the coach business to the last mile. But before that, just a quick introduction to explain what we do for the ones that maybe don't know us yet. So we at Flipco, we are a digital company. We operate a digital platform where we provide transport services, and more specifically, city to airport transportation. So we are in a niche market. And we come from a family-owned company, the Zaleslands Group, one of the biggest in Luxembourg and with a very strong history. And so the know-how of the transport industry is a very strong basement of our DNA. And so on our digital platform, you will find two kinds of services. One, the traditional buses, and on the other side, smaller shuttles. And it's with these shuttles that we actually expanded our business to the last mile. And the secret behind is the technology that we developed from scratch in order to be more efficient and more profitable. So in front of you, you have the situation that I think you all know too well, that everyone lived from their point of view. And I mean, the COVID caused a lot of sweat and tears to all of us. We remember all too well the empty streets, the no passengers at the bus stops, the depots are full of buses, and that's, I mean, a very big nightmare for all of us. And the management doesn't really know how to escape from this cruel situation. And the virus and the fear are everywhere. So, but right there on the horizon, there is this new concept of digitalization. And you've all heard about it, but sometimes maybe you don't know what does it really mean for your business. And this picture right in front of you, you want definitely to leave it in the past, and you want a brighter future for your business. And in all this future, you hear about all-inclusive mobility and healthy mobility. And then in all of this, you ask your question, will I be able to reach this new vision? And this is why I'm here today, basically, to show you that there are solutions out there. And we at Flipco, we did it. How? We did it with the door-to-gate, and we will see it on the next slide. So the door-to-gate is the product that is tailored for the need to solve the last mile. What is it? So the door-to-gate is a shared shuttle solution to and from the airport, again, airport transportation. So we pick our client where they want and when they want and drop them off at their destination. So it can be from the airport to the hotel, from the office to the airport, whatever. And in Brussels, where we operate the business right now, other companies offer one ride from Brussels city center to the Charleroi airport between 75 and 140 euros. And we, with the door-to-gate solution, we provide the same ride for 29.99 euros. So this huge, I mean, very huge price difference is possible due to our algorithm that can combine multiple bookings in one single ride. So in this way, we save kilometers and we save costs. And the technology behind is fully automated. And here we can again save administration costs, for example. And it allows us also to be very flexible for last minute changes, for example. So on the next slide, we want to go even deeper here and show you how we came up with the door-to-gate solution. Because when we talk with bus operators, this question comes always up. They want to understand if they can trust us. I mean, Flipco coming from a digital aspect, what do we know about the transport sector? So, and maybe some bus operators don't recognize this last mile problem as their own, and maybe they think it doesn't fit to their business model right now. However, in these particular times where we are right now, I think that this approach of the last mile could be the key, because right now people need to be reassured and people are seeking for an easy solution going from point A to point B. So the last mile approach could be the solution to convince these people in buying your ticket. So how did we come up with the door-to-gate solution? So we came up with the solution with an iterative approach that you have in front of you. So we included all stakeholders in the project. We talked with bus drivers, we collected data from our customers and from the airports. And all this valuable data is essential to create what is known the business requirement specification. And thanks to this business requirement specification, we can define the most important features of the product for the beginning. And then during the whole development phase, we are actually flexible enough to receive feedback from the stakeholders and prioritize and maybe even change the scope of the final product. And so after a number of iterations, we find ourselves with the ready door-to-gate product. So on the next slide, I can show you what the door-to-gate includes. So it's a comprehensive digital platform where the workflow is fully automated. So here I will just start with the backend because it's what we call the magic behind the product. And the backend receives all the information from all the stakeholders, so from the client, from the driver, the airports, elaborates them and sends them right back to the right stakeholder. we have a strong sales platform. We can count also on a driver app that assists our drivers at every stage of their ride and organize their daily task instantly. And the reseller interface allows other partners, for example, like hotels or travel agencies, to resell our tickets so that we increase our sales. And we have also the business intelligence tool, which allows us to see data in real time and to take data-driven decision. And in November, we will have a customer app which will help us to build a relationship with our customers and to enhance the brand experience. So after this, we can go to the next slide in order to step into the practical world. What does reality look like today? So what you see here is a process that is long with multiple manual interactions. So let's assume that Charles is at the office right now and he wants to book a shuttle in order to go to the airport this evening. So he will call the shuttle company. Cindy will pick up the phone at customer care, and she's already stressed because she had a long day with a lot of phone calls, a lot of paperwork, and she was just right in the middle of solving a problem because a shuttle driver didn't show up at the right time where he should have been. So it's a mess. And so it's just later on that she will communicate to Charles if they can pick him up or not. And in the evening, Charles will wait for his shuttles. The shuttle won't show up instantly, so he will stress a little bit because he needs to catch up his plane. And so he will call customer care again, and Cindy on the phone will try to get in touch with the driver. So you see here a lot of interaction, a lot of human interaction, which can also lead potentially to errors. And we have here no flexibility at all for last-minute changes. So we at Flipco, we saw this process and we saw the problem behind it. And this is why we came up with the door-to-gate solution. And if you recognize yourself into this kind of model, then I'm sorry to say that you are losing time and you're losing money at the same time. And if before COVID this model was working, now it won't last any longer. So on the next slide, I will show you what the process and model looks like with the door-to-gate solution and how it is actually running in Brussels right now. So we have a fully automated workflow. Charles will immediately put his information through our website or through the customer app, and the driver will be directly notified and he will know that he will be do another ride instantly. And this all information comes from the backend that elaborates the solutions. And if, for example, there is another customer in the same area of Charles that wants to go to the airport at the same time, the backend will combine those two bookings in one ride. So the driver will pick them up both and will bring them to the airport at the same time. So you see here that that actually we added a last step, which we didn't even have before, and it's the data. We have access to data. And on the next slide, I want to underline the importance of the data, because real-time data is crucial, especially in the current times, in order to take the right decision and to take the right decision in a flexible way. So today we can say that thanks to this data, we at Flipco, we knew exactly when and how to restart business after COVID, after the lockdown, because we had access to all kinds of information from the airports and from the customers as well. So we were profitable since the beginning and we did not do any mistakes at the launch. So this was a very positive aspect. And also here we saw, thanks to the real-time data, that customer behaviors changed after the lockdown. So we could adjust on real time based on the data that we received, our strategy later on. And on the next slide, I want to show you a concrete example of what we did, how we implemented our business in Brussels. So initially, at that time, our competitor and what we call today partner had no concrete touch points with potential customers. He did not have an automated system to manage its daily activities, and the result was that a lot of vehicles were not at their fully potential. So maybe were not driving at all. So he was losing money actually. And through the door-to-gate solution, we added our digital expertise to his very valuable knowledge of the field. And thereby we reduced his vehicles and drivers. He increased his sales because he was available on our platform, so he increased his customers. And so you see here basically a win-win collaboration that can be implemented very easily all over Europe. And so if you aim to change or diversify maybe your business in order to meet the mobility visions of the future, one solution could be to expand to the last mile. And if you see jumping from the left side to the right side, it's not that complicated actually with the right partner. So that's it for me. I hope that with this presentation you understood a little bit better the importance and also the potential of solving the last mile for your business. So if you want to have a talk with me later on to go deeper and to see more aspects about the transport industry in the airport sector, I'm more than happy to have a chat with you later on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paola. Let me tell all the attendees that the presentations of all the speakers will be available on our website from tomorrow or the day after tomorrow onwards, together with the recording of this session. So no need to write everything down. All the information will be available via the CheckMyBus and the Busworld Academy websites. No worries there. Thank you so much, Paolo, for explaining how Flipco is working. We received some very interesting questions that I would like to resume. One of them is, if you expand your business with a let's say a last mile solution, right, or a first mile solution more in this case, how do you differ yourselves from organizations like Uber or Lyft, who are really into this field as well? What is the added value you are offering them, or what are you're offering to your clients compared to Uber or Lyft?
So yes, so what we were since the beginning, we can differentiate ourselves from other companies is because we are part of the Zaleslands group, and we have all this transport industry know-how since the beginning. And so when we started developing actually the solution of the door-to-gate, the challenge was to receive since the beginning the right information in order to know how to move and what we would solve. So the knowledge since the beginning of the industry of the transport coming from our group Zaleslands and our expertise also was very crucial in order to know in which direction we should move for developing after the end product.
Yeah, okay. So you combine actually the expertise of a bus operator with the expertise of a digital company.
Exactly, the two
exactly.
expertise combined together. Yes.
Right. One last point that was in different questions that I saw appear in this channel is they were referring to the confidence of the passenger in collective transport. Since if I call Flipco to take me from my home to the airport, I cannot be sure that I will be alone in the vehicle. And this is some kind of an idea that has got into people's mind since Corona and since COVID, that I'm scared of the other. I'm scared about collective transport maybe.
Mm-hmm.
What is your expertise there? How do people react on that?
I mean, of course, the customer behavior changed definitely. And this is why also we wanted to reassure them, and we saw that the door-to-gate solution was definitely had plus points regarding the traditional bus companies, for example. So the door-to-gate was definitely a more a solution that wanted to reassure people. And of course, we combine bookings. So we won't say people that you will have the car for your own, but this is why we prepared ourselves and we installed security measurements in the shuttles.
Okay. Yep.
So obviously we communicate on that in order to say the customers that first of all you are safe and our employees are also safe, because I mean in the reassurance is very, very crucial, especially right now. For the customers, and we saw it really on a daily basis, because we saw also that the customer behavior changed. At first they wanted to book the service beforehand, but right now they are booking the tickets the day itself or just one day before. Yeah. So it's a whole different behavior, and thanks to the data that we collected, we were able to adapt our strategy in a flexible way right to it.
I understand. Thank you so much, Paolo.
You're welcome.
Let's stay in Italy, ladies and gentlemen, and go from Paola to Paolo, who's a university professor in Milan, working in the Department of Transport Economics, and getting quite some experience in multimodality combined with passenger transport, different passenger transport modes. How do bus companies, Paolo, can gain or profit from a multimodal approach of their services?
Yes, good afternoon and good morning for those far from Europe, and thank you for inviting me. As this presentation, I will try to outline you how I tried to classify and to differentiate the different forms of intermodality in long distance transport, and all of them, most of them involve bus and coach solutions. So the first messages I want to start from are that intermodality is the norm in public transport networks, but it can be an opportunity also for long distance transport. And in the presentation, I will stress that the intermodality is already there, much more than one could imagine at first sight. And differently from public transport, local public transport, it's primarily a strategy of the firms. So the public sector, who is very present in local transport in the long distance, is, when not absent, has much less role. And thirdly, that the concept of intermodality is much broader than in local public transport. And this presentation comes from a broader study that we did and we presented last week, basically, in Italy, and it involved some case studies, some interviews to the market operators, and ended with a sort of classification of different forms of intermodality. So I tried to systematize the different strategies and different goals of intermodality, with the idea of helping the operators to move into this field. So in local public transport, intermodality is made of places. So the places where interchanges occur, and often this component is the dominant one. Then fares and timetables. In the long distance, instead, the outcome in terms of intermodal solution is a mix of actions, very heterogeneous, which respond to rather different company targets. So the outcomes are very broad and very different. I tried this list of goals of companies that push companies to implement intermodal solutions. Of course, like every classification is imperfect, we could premix it in other ways, but this is the way I'm going to present it. So one goal could be generally to enrich the product. So I have a product and I want to give a better product to my customers. A second goal is to extend the network. So my company network is limited, and through, for example, agreements, I can extend my network. Thirdly, and fourth, third and fourth are the most obvious. I want to increase my customer base, my users, improve the load factors, and increase the turnover and profit. So more financial goals. A fifth goal is to reduce production costs, which sometimes is not the case, but in others it is. And finally, maybe the most interesting one is to prevent competition. I'm mostly a public economist, so my point of view is always from the public sector and public point of view. So from my point of view, intermodality is interesting, that intermodality sometimes is used by companies to avoid competition, to reduce competition, the pressure of competition. So I let's say, re-listed these concepts in the next slides, and I start with the enrich the product with last mile services. This is probably the most heterogeneous group and includes many different things like integrated tickets, coach, train, and local transport, agreements for car sharing, car rentals, contextual booking of transit and other services, last mile services like the one we just listened from Flipco, and also maybe it's a bit different from the others, but I put in this category also the issue of the places, so the hubs where the intermodality takes place. Just one slide about this last point. Intermodal hubs are not very common, or at least are not very common in complex intermodal hubs. There are some which are interesting, and the point is that these, in my presentation, is the only part, the only element which requires usually a public planner and a public intervention, because all the others are can originate from firms, from companies, while this one typically requires that a public body share the need of companies to have appropriate hubs and interchange points. And for example, I mostly know Italy, but I'm pretty sure that it's quite common in most of Europe, maybe not Central Europe, but most of Europe, yes. Often the quality of these interchange places, sometimes huge and very important, is very low. So there is not yet recognition of the importance of these places. The second concept is the increased patronage and extend the network. Here we have different strategies: rail feeder, intermodal companies, intermodal agreements and distribution agreements, and airport buses. So Flipco, for example, is also in this category. Just a couple of examples. In Italy, we have two rail competitors, Trenitalia with the incumbent and Italo with the newcomer. Italo, it's a head-on competition, so open access competition. Italo now is about 30–40% of market share, so quite a lot. The two companies have similar products, services, and both used buses to extend their network. So the yellow lines in this map are the bus routes of Italo, and the Trenitalia ones are quite similar. And it's a way to go out from the high-speed network to get more customers and to provide a constant level of quality, level of service to the customer, except the speed, of course, but a similar user experience. And it's many years that these services exist, so I suppose that we have no data, of course, but I suppose that they are interesting for the rail company. Airport buses, since the beginning, another example, Flixbus, but also other bus companies operated direct connections with airports. Why? Because these connections included a large potential demand which was not yet touched by traditional services, and also on average provide higher unit revenues, which is good for companies. So for example, this is a map of airports served by FlixBus direct connections in terms of stops per week, and they have many services in many European airports. A third example is that of intermodal companies. So probably is the most obvious, but also the most complex in reality. These are the two Czech rail newcomers. So in Czech Republic, we have 3 rail companies, and 2 of them, the new ones, are both intermodal companies. And for them, they are not rail companies. Probably they are more known as rail companies, but they are both multimodal. So they are both travel agencies, rail companies, bus companies, and they also use extensively agreements to further extend the network, either with bus or with trains. Finally, BlaBlaCar and the recent BlaBlaBus is a new evolution. Maybe they will go in the same direction of FlixBus, but coming from different origins. BlaBlaCar was and is and still is the carpooling, the most known carpooling platform. Actually, not carpooling, but ride sharing. And they purchased WeBus from SNCF with the idea, they changed it in BlaBlaBus with the idea of creating a true integration between carpooling and buses. This is something new, which maybe will deploy in the next years. Third aim with consequent strategies is increased turnover and yields, upselling of touristic services, for example, and agreements with online ticketing platforms. Just one example, ticketing platforms are of course well known, and CheckMyBus is one of them. They are born to help users to cope with the initial low-cost airline jungle, especially, but they develop further with bus liberalization. So in a context of initial competition, the customer is a bit confused, and they help effectively in finding the travel solution. Now they are all multimodal, so include also rail, ride sharing, and ferries. And the next step, partially already there, is the intermodal researches. So the possibility to propose different and complex travel chains. And I will go back on this at the very end. For optimized cost, just one example, FlixTrain is basically an industrial operation. So on routes where 20 buses per day operate, the obvious next step was to move the customers to a train. So it's not just a train, it's not just product differentiation, but it's something to save cost on very dense routes. So in this case, we can see bus as a pre-train solution. And finally, the fifth is to maintain leadership and prevent competition. In this case, this is something that bus companies, it doesn't come from bus companies, but from rail companies. And in fact, rail with rail product differentiation, like the well-known as Wigo, Avlo, and also a former Italian trial. But probably the most interesting example is WeBus. WeBus was the low-cost bus company of SNCF, which was born with the idea to occupy as much space of rail market or transport market in France and in Europe, with the clear aim to avoid competition in rail. And the operation was not very successful because it generated a lot of demonstrated losses. So it was not a purely commercial operation, but it was, as I said, to prevent competition. And it's not the only one. Also in Italy, we had similar experience with the Italian Railways that created Bus Italia Fast brand, losses, and this brand went back to Simet, which was the original company. It's a Bus in Germany exists, survived, but it's very limited. And Renfe in Spain did not even try because the bus sector is much stronger. I think I have no time for this part. I will leave it to you, but it's very Italian, so we did a short interview to Italian operators. And to conclude, two tendencies for the future. The first one, which is today, companies that become structurally intermodal. So bigger players try to become mobility operator and not bus operators or rail operators. And we already mentioned many examples, not only through agreements, but from an industrial point of view. The second tendency, which is for tomorrow, it could be that maybe virtual companies will appear. So today, the platforms, the ticketing platforms did already many steps into the market, not only give visibility to all operators, provide comparison of tickets, do the ticketing, and do also customer services partially. But in the future, maybe they could go further with intermodal researches, but especially with planning and co-planning of the network. So finally, they could become the interface with the customer, main interface with the customer, and become for the customer like a transport company, even if they just put together demand and supply. Thank you. The presentation, of course, will be available for the missing parts.
Thank you so much, Paolo. I also understand that the slides that you skipped in your presentation today due to time reasons, they will be available on the websites as well. So the entire presentation will be there, including the contact details for Paolo. If you want to contact him specifically further, you can do it via the Q&A or directly via Paolo after this session.
Sure.
Paolo, there is one thing that comes into my mind every time I hear that kind of presentations about multimodal offers by bigger public or private companies, right? And if I compare this and the consequences of this multimodality with the consequences of, for example, further digitalization, but also the consequences of, let's say, the way to zero emission bus services, where investments are increasing, etc. What does this evolution mean for the size of our future bus companies? Let me phrase this differently. Will a small or middle-sized bus company still be able to play a role in this concept? And if yes, how will this role look like?
Simple question.
I try.
Well, I am probably not so entitled to answer because I am an academician and a researcher, so I'm not directly in the business, even if I'm working on this since 10 years. My feeling from outside, so it's from outside, is that yes, the role for small companies, which means micro or also mid-sized companies, is probably going to decline because some scale economies exist, undoubtedly, without doubt.
Yep.
But at the same time, I don't think that it's going to be like in the air sector. So there are many similarities in evolution of the air sector and the bus sector, much more than we rail. But I think that in the bus sector, scale economies are smaller, even if they exist, and digitalization, the liberalization came with the digitalization, not before.
Yes.
So the room for smaller companies will exist thanks to platforms, for example.
Yep.
And thanks to the spatial dimension, which in airplanes it's not so relevant.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that will probably disappear for small companies will be the direct contact with the customer, the marketing simply.
Yep.
Because if you are very small, it's very difficult to keep contact with all your potential users.
Yeah, yeah. You're referring to the model that Flipco is presenting and others, where they have the relationship with the client and where they subcontract bus operators to do the operations. Can that be the model?
This is for sure the model which is dominant now, because somebody is holding the power with the technological devices, so is able to create the interface with the user, and the traditional companies are a bit behind. But it's not necessarily in this way. So it's not necessarily that the driver is going to be forever below the interface. It could be that simply bus companies will merge and become a bit bigger and become able to face the monopsony power of the of the interfaces.
But in one way or another, collaboration remains the key to survive this evolution. Correct?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Paolo. Most interesting. Let's ask for your input, ladies and gentlemen, now, and let's go to our first poll. We'd like to hear your opinion. Hannes, can you put the first poll on the screen? Right. Our question is, to your opinion, where do you see the most business potential? Is it in expanding long-distance bus services to last mile and shared mobility services? I'm referring to the model that Paola was proposing. Or is it expanding business services with train or light rail? What Paolo referred to as one of the models? Or should the focus remain on improving our bus services and maybe elaborating them, but as a bus company, focus on bus and don't care too much about multimodality? We have 20 seconds for your answer, and we will present your answer immediately after that. To your opinion, where do you see the most potential added value for your company? Okay, 5 more seconds. Good. Hannes, can you show us the results? Right, it seems very, very clear. Huh? Everybody believes in the model that Paolo was presenting in collaborating to first and last mile solutions, but with shared mobility. So our first two speakers have very well been heard, and it looks like our attendees are voting in favor of the models that you are presenting. Thank you so much. Also, the results of these polls will be available on our website if you would like to consult them later. Thank you so much. Don't go away. We need your help later on in this webinar. Let us go to Peru. Let's cross the ocean and see how a bigger bus company there, Turismo Civa, has used this specific period to elaborate its digital tools and to gain commercial benefits in it. And no one better than José Juan, who's the commercial director of Turismo Civa, to explain us that. Good morning to you, José.
Hi everyone. Nice to be here and share a little bit of my knowledge about the bus companies and the commercial part, in this case, the e-commerce. So happy to be here, Jan.
Nice to have you.
Well, we're going to talk about the case specific of our e-commerce. The next presentation, please. So I'm José Juan Ciccca Carpena from Peru, as they present me. No, I'm commercial director and vice president of the board. So Civa is a bus company that is focused and grew up almost 50-year-old in the long distance business. We also develop in this long distance 3 different model of service for 3 different target that it's called Econociva, Super Civa, and Exclusiva. Each one is have a better service, a better upgrade in service, but all these service go almost to all Peru. Another activities that we develop, this is our main core business, but we have other 2 business more, that is the package delivery, when we use the buses for that, and also now the corporate transportation that is gaining more and more increase in sales for us. No, like private companies nowadays want a private service just for their people, or also sharing commuting. No, but the thing is, we take out some buses that are inoperative in long distance, and we put it to some corporate transportation that they need this service. No, so Civa is more than 17,000 people, 1,600 people working for us, and last year we revenue greater than $60 million per year. No, to know the biggest of the company. Next, please. So talking about Peru, it's important to know some data that Peru is almost 33 million of population, no, and only 24 have internet access. No, that's 20, it's almost 73% of Peruvians. And downstairs you can see the increase of the smartphones, mobiles. No, in 2017, in 2020, it's more than 21.7 Peruvians now with a smartphone. So that's a huge, an important detail, no, for all the e-commerce market. Next, please. So just to explain, this is our three kind of service in our core business. That is the long distance, no, the exclusiva that have 180 degrees bed, the super Civa that is our like low cost but comfy, and econociva is our really low cost service. No, next. These are the products that we offer in the e-commerce. No, the packaging and all the private transport is another business, but this is we say our sales in e-commerce. No, this is the interior of the buses. No, the three service, the exclusiva. We also have massage in our 180 degrees bed, super Civa and econociva. Next, please. So now the e-commerce. In September 2019, we decided to launch our new e-commerce. Before we was working with a partner that they have the know-how, the human resources, and the budget for develop our sales part. But we are knowing that 2 or almost 3 years working like this, we don't having control of all data and the management of the platform. As the other speakers told, the importance of have all data in the house and then analyze and everything, no? So next, please. So that's our how we create our own e-commerce. That was our goal. So we wanna challenge ourselves because we don't have the budget in that moment, and but we know that having this web page for our own management, it's gonna bring us increase of sales and better positionation. So even if we don't have like the budget, we decide to go in because we are plenty sure that we're gonna have good numbers after this, no? So next, please. So the focus and the design of this webpage, as different of other times that we design webpage, was focused in the human-centered design. That means that even me as a director commercial, I don't influence nothing in the web. It's just about our real customers, the Peruvians, main target people that decide even the colors, where the button goes, the experience of the user experience that they need for have a fast service to buy the tickets, and also an easy way, no? Because if we have these two, it's easy to concrete the sales that's the finally objective, no? So we design with a partnership that we work this, no, and a special digital company, not to main in human-centered design. So what is this? Next, please. So that main objective of the new e-commerce was to keep the lead generation, to generate brand awareness, to make a brand empowerment, and the main reason, the conversation that every commercial want and need, no? So next. So these are like all the construction phases, no? But the main things, the main topic is the prototyping and testing, the research and discovery, and the ideation. Next, please. And all these construction time take us 6 months in total. No, these 3 different big macro process was 2 months of investigation, 2.5 of ideation and creation, and 4 months of development. So next. And we finally, for decide how we're gonna construct the web, we need to know how the people comportment. So they look for service in the mobile, but the finally purchase is more in desktop. So that's why with this input, we need to start creating and be sure, next please, that our 2 main platforms, no, desktop and mobile, have to be very responsive design. And also we focus first in the mobile, and then we do the desktop, because the mobile is where almost all the people going to check before buy. No, next please. So then when we have the web page, when we do the e-commerce, and after all this process of investigation, we need to launch and communication our new web page, and also start the conversion strategy. So we use in all this e-commerce, we use our main channels that we have a lot of followers in Turismo Civa in Instagram. We also have a lot of followers, almost 100,000 in Facebook. That make us a really good platform for have like a cheap way to communicate, no, and don't spend too much money in publicity. But also we need to invest in SEO, SEM, no, and then we also go to LinkedIn, messages, Google. So all these e-commerce, all these channels generates our new traffic, no, for what is the new web page and e-commerce. So next. So focus in the UE and UX, that is finally the customer experience, the platform analysis and user interaction to have a direct impact on sales. So in the next presentation, please, next diapositive, we want to see the main data, no? So in the first trimester, like the end of the 2019, we go up with 66% more of sales in our own e-commerce, 35% more of web traffic, 70% more organic traffic. That's the main reason that help us with the SEO, and also our position in Facebook and Instagram that have a lot of followers. And the best thing that is over the market was the 9% of conversion rate. Know that from each 100 people that go inside of my web, almost 9% buy it and finance in a purchase. So that's a really good work, no? Also in UE and UX experience. So next, please. So here we can really compare, no, the results of the first trimester before. The percentage of sales in digital channel versus the total sales of Civa in the main core was 13.76%. Just when we start the next trimester, we go up to 16.82%. And after COVID, in July, when they open again the service in Peru and everything, now was at 24.7%. That's a really interesting data, because we are really and we are pushing now the passengers to don't expose and go to have to buy the tickets in the terminals, no? They can have it in internet. And also in the digital market, we don't compete with all the 70% of informality that Peruvian market have in bus company. Also, the percentage of sales in e-commerce versus digital sales, like I have a lot of some providers that sell my tickets also by internet, but the 50% almost of these sales come from my own web page. That reduced my cost and have better like prices, no? Not prices for the customer, prices in terms of cost. Sorry. And nowadays, post-COVID, is the 73.71%, no, of the sales, of the total sales in the digital world. And the monthly web traffic, because I think Peru was really close because of this COVID, a lot of people want to know and start going and visit, like the traffic in the web increased a lot, because they want to know when we're gonna have a start trip again. A lot of people need to travel. So post-COVID, we almost duplicate our traffic. And what I want to show with this is like the importance of have a good e-commerce, not during the pandemic, because we have before this, and make us like have a good response after the pandemic and and when the government start opening the routes and everything, we receive a good good amount of sales of people coming and traffic in our webpage. So that's a very important detail. Next, please. So almost this was a charge shared by one another provider, no, in the web. This is an private investigation. It's not by Civa data. That they say like in June 2020, no, after the COVID, we between all our competition, we grew up 50%, no, compare in the market of the digital service in Peru. So we know that Cruz del Sur was always like the first company in sales, no, and also in present. But after all our strategy, even we have a lot of interviews, our own CEO in the news and everything. I think all this make our brand more value and make us in June be now top of search and internet research, no? So next, please. And I think it's the last one. So we are happy with the expect to be nominated to win an e-commerce award. No, I think not too much bus company have this kind of in Peru don't have this kind of recognitions. And this year during the pandemic, we received this nomination, no, in the tourism and travel category, and we really appreciate and this give us like the not just with the increase of sales and the result. With this was the little like certificates of, yeah, my team do a really great work with this e-commerce, and really was the best decision, even without the budget in that moment, was the best decision, risk and make it that, because all the digital world, you know, that is growing so much in all the world, and even in small countries, in only not too modern countries, no, as Peru and everything, no. So I really like how we create this web page. First time that I'm not involved in, hey, I like this, I design this. It's just all in human design, in what our customers want to see, okay, how they want to operate the web page. And yeah, that's the way that we do. So the next.
Thank you so much.
So with that, I just want to thanks to all of you. I don't know if you see, but well, this is me. I love to operate not just in the commercial part. I love to be in the operative part, and I'm really happy to present to all of you and be part of these webinars with Busworld Academy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, José Juan, and congratulations with the award you won. José Juan, you mentioned that figures and sales were going up, but the figures you showed us were figures of the first quarter of 2020, which means pre-corona, the corona period before. And then the figures you showed us of the second quarter, which means during COVID-19 crisis, you mentioned a growth of 25% in your online sales. But what about overall sales? How did COVID influence your overall sales? Via your e-commerce platform, you made a growth.
Overall sales are, overall sales now are really, really down. When this in Peru, when the COVID started and the government announced on 16 or 15 of March, that in a mobilization of all the citizens, we have 3 months with really just 3% of the operation that was in private transport, no, from some embassies that need to move the tourists and all this crazy thing. So I think all our facturation now must be in a 50% or 40% as we used to plan, no. And Peru is a little bit open and closing cities, so But the new part of the best part of the business now that is growing is the private one. Now that we have some private, instead of having my buses to the interprovincial or long distance, I take some of the fleet in parts that we don't gonna have the demand, and we put it to private companies. And also we want some minor relicitation that this help us to have another kinds of sales and to perpetuate like the company in the time, no?
Yeah, José Juan, do you have the feeling that since the launch of your e-commerce platform and then the COVID crisis came in between, did the e-commerce platform help clients to regain confidence in collective transport modes?
Yeah, I think that if you are not in the e-commerce, the client have to take a public transport that in Peru was one of the main reasons of the COVID expand, because we have many informal, like little buses with 15 persons inside, like no distance social. So just in that, the e-commerce is the advantage between a lot of companies that even have it because they are informal. And that's why we grew up a lot in visit to the webpage and in sales, just in the people that realize like, hey, why I'm gonna expose? I wanna pay money to transport, to go to buy a ticket, if I can have the same price in my house, in the safety and my clean space, no, by internet. So that's why having the e-commerce prepared during the pandemic, it was helpful because just we received just the traffic, that wanna start to research about the cities that are open, the service that Civa have and everything, no? So yeah, really it's helped. It helped us a lot.
One last question, Juan. Yeah, if you allow me, you're a bit on the other side of the line as where Paola, I'm sorry, Paola from Flipco are. They are a digital company entering the bus market. You are a bus operator, but you searched a partnership with a digital company. How did you select the digital company that is helping you now? What were the criteria to find that?
More than a digital company, what we select is this a digital agency, no, who usually create web page, manage social media. So they was our provider to make our e-commerce, but now it's our own e-commerce managed by us. No, we have even the programmation, but they just help us now in all the part that we don't manage because we are bus operation. No, that is all the CEO, the SEM, the user experience, and like they help us really in more create like the landing, the final product that is my e-commerce. No, nowadays they just helping in bring more traffic. No, but now the e-commerce is managed by Civa, by the marketing chief. And that's the way we are having. No.
You're doing it by yourself. Maybe you'll learn the lessons. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, José. Thank you for coming in from Peru. Ladies and gentlemen, you're up next. Hannes, can we have the second poll? Voila, ladies and gentlemen, we want to know where you see the biggest benefits in digitalizing your company. Does it help you? First bullet, does it help you to acquire more customers? Does it help you to create more customer satisfaction? Same customers, but more satisfied customers? Does it help you to increase your margins, pure financially? Or does it help you to manage your network and to have a better relationship with new and existing clients? Where do you find the most of the benefits in digitalizing your company? Once again, 20 seconds. Okay, 5 seconds more. Thank you so much. Hannes, can you show us the results? And we see that about 80% of the attendees have replied. The answers here are more mixed. Huh? Acquiring more clients is definitely the leading argument to digitalize your company, but it's quite close with managing your network better and keeping a closer relationship with new and potential clients there. Good. Thank you so much. Very interesting. Let's go to an Italian bus operator right now. I'm very happy to welcome Walter Dabbicco and Marika Tota from MarinoBus. And it'd be very interesting to learn how your bus company, you being a bus operator in Italy again, how did you spend this COVID-19 period digitalizing your company and finding better results by doing so? Walter?
And hi, everybody. We are really glad of being here, even if virtually. Marika is by my side. We need to keep our distance. I know. I think that you know everything about coronavirus. For this reason, we thought to be a little unconventional in our really short presentation. We tried to organize in a few lessons what we learned in these 6 months, and obviously what we've done to restart the game. As you can read, we'll talk about POP, because never, as in this case, we understood the importance of clear and easy talking to customers. Digital, but also POP. And so let's play with us this game. As in every arcade game, we have 3 increasing difficult level, and following this summary, we'll be able to identify some tips that can be helpful for other companies. But first, let's give a look at our company. Marino Autolinee was founded about 6 years ago in the south of Italy, the sunny side of Italy, to serve mainly the routes towards northern Italy. Last year, MarinoBus, we changed our name 3 years ago, transported about 1 million passengers for 45 million euro of on revenues. And so the story. On the 17th of March, we decided to stop all our buses. For the first time in over 60 years, we took this decision because Italian government set up the general lockdown on March 9th. And only was got a real and demonstrable reason to leave, to travel could leave. But there is another important problem, a reputation management problem, contributed also in our stop decision. A lot of picture and journalistic news showed policemen and health workers get on our buses, and people started calling us spreaders. So in this picture, you can see the now classic 2020 COVID-19 decline. In the first 2 months, the green line, 2019, and the violet one are very similar. The decrease in demand started in the last days of February, and as I said, we stopped definitely in the middle of March and in April. We are going to see later what is behind the rectangle on the right. And so now we are stopped, afraid about the future employees and the national lockdown. So a perfect mix to make research. This is our first answer to lockdown. Absolutely fundamental was taking part in webinars and also reading articles and interviews, both sectoral and generalist. Our main goal was to understand and recreate trust in passengers and realize how to make them feel again safe in traveling. The second lesson is the +1. When I say do the +1, I refer to our marketing office mantra, always doing something more of what is required. For this reason, when the Italian government set up some rules for traveling, we decided to make them stricter. We immediately designed and activated the Protocollo Sicurezza MarinoBus. MarinoBus safety protocol. You can find it in the following video. It's very short, and it was really released in the end of April, mainly via web. Tell me if you see it. And third lesson, be fast in setting up a new supply chain, and as I said, be creative. As you saw in the video, besides this new onboarding way, the MarinoBus safety protocol provided seat covers and isolation curtains in non-woven TNT in Italian. We were lucky because this material is largely used in the sofa, the couch production, the main industry of our geographical area. So we immediately make agreement with some sofa producers to set up a new supply chain with tailor-made seat covers and curtains. Then fourth and last lesson, be pop. As I said, we talk about pop because never, as in this case, we understood the importance of clear and popular talking. So with our press office, BMP from Rome, we worked to appear in the more mainstream Italian shows like Pomeriggio 5, in English it will sound like afternoon on 5, and for the Spanish friend, tarde sul 5, creo, with an average share of 2 million and half audience. And also on other national and local TV show. And so on the 3rd of May, we restarted the engines of our buses, half load on our double-decker approved for 66, and the price increased around the 30% of usual full fares. Since that day, step by step, we reactivated most of connection, until now with around 90% of our destination served again. And so Marika, how passengers reacted?
So thank you for your attention. For this third phases of our arcade game, we decided to carry out 2 satisfaction surveys. And the first question was based on if you were to travel today, would you feel safe? We asked this to our passenger because we needed to understand if our passenger were ready to live this new way of traveling. And as you can see, the answers to this question was in May, 41.9% of yes, instead in July, 79% of yes. As you can see, this answer came from users that didn't travel in this 3 months, And you can see the difference between May and July and understand how in July there was a general increasing in trust and in willingness to leave. By the way, it will be interesting, the next survey that is scheduled for the last day of September. So if you want, we can share in the next day the results. The second satisfaction survey was based on the question, until the COVID-19 emergency is over, do you prefer to pay more and keep operative safety protocol? And you can see the difference right here is a very minimal difference. And you can see in May, we had 75% of yes, in July, 79%. And this is a little difference because we noticed that the price increasing is considered acceptable for our passenger. And this means that our passenger, our customers understand all the efforts that MarinoBus is doing for them and also the economic one. So they are, so MarinoBus is making available to them with all our efforts. To complete the stand-up stage of our arcade game against COVID-19, we are really proud to show you our summer campaign. In Italy, we were probably the only ones who did this campaign using no stock images, but we commissioned an illustrator to draw some 60s Italian vibes postcard. And so, like never before, was like very important to be Italian, to feel Italian. It was like an honor and a pride. So, thank you for your attention. And I pass the floor again to Walter.
Oh, here we are to the last slide, probably the most important, with the final evaluation of our game. The dotted red line shows the hypothetical number of passengers with full load buses. As you can see, we met a considerable decrease in general mobility demand in May and June, obviously followed by less offer from our company. But in July and also in August, I can confirm it, we can see how the gap between the green 2019 line and the red dotted one decreased. This was one of the most important data for us. Probably this is the result of a mix composed by a general more trust in traveling, we saw that, good working in promotional communication, and acquisition of new market shares in some particular geographical areas. So finally, concluding our tips to win a game against coronavirus, the first one, research. Managers must be like an antenna. Second tip, surveys. Here we are in the digital team. Know what your passengers are thinking. Number three, be pop, because you have to reach the target with the right media and the right communication. And then the last one is our mantra, always do the +1. Many thanks, Marika, many thanks to you, and thanks for your attention.
Thank you so much, Walter and Marika. This was a very nice case to see here presented. And actually, it illustrates what was shown in an investigation done by CheckMyBus, where we saw that as soon as the COVID crisis and the COVID contamination was going down, the demand for bus tickets was going up quite fast. As soon as it was going down, the demand for bus tickets was going up. I see Lorena knocking, so I understood your study quite well, right? And this is what is illustrated by you as well. When we see that at the end of June, or beginning of July, at the end of what we call the first phase of COVID-19, the coronavirus was going down in most parts of Europe, and the demand for tickets was going up. But then the second phase came. Some parts it was the end of July, other parts it was mid-August. How did your figures evolve then, Walter? Did you see again that when COVID was coming up again, the demand for tickets was going down? Did you notice this as well?
Yeah, and we are waiting for a cold autumn.
Yes.
Usually, autumn is a low season period for us. No tourists and only university students and workers normally travel with our buses. The problem is that we have to see all virus boards, but also it is not clear if university will be open for a live lesson. Paolo from Milano can help us to understand if there will be students. And also some big companies like Communications One decide for smart working forever. So we need to understand what expect us. For this reason, we are working now on remodulation of our timetable for autumn in order to optimize resources without delayed destination.
Right, right. I see. One last question for you, Walter and Marika. Were you, as a company, able to offer break-even services for your company while respecting the social distancing that you showed in your presentation? Is it possible for you say that your clients are prepared to pay a bit more to feel safe, but was it still a, I'm not even saying a profitable business, I'm saying were you able to offer your services at a break-even level?
Probably it's possible in this period of full fares. But when autumn will come or February and March will come, that are period when we are in low fares, it will be very, very, very difficult for us.
Difficult again. Yeah, I fully understand. Okay. Thank you so much, Walter and Marika. I really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, back to you again. We've got a third poll coming up, and it's kind of general one. We just want to know, in your company, during the last months, did you take the time that you got because there was less to do in operations? Did you take time to invest in digital tools, or did the financial crisis say, no, let's be careful, I will not invest too much? And we are comparing 2020 to 2019. The investments you made in digitalization this year, are they more or are they less than they were last year? This will be quite a significant question, I think, to feel. It's kind of the financial crisis who tells you not to invest too much, and the time that you got available in this period saying, I will think more about improving my business and prepare for the post-COVID period. Something like 20 seconds again. I'm looking very much forward to your answers here. Okay, finalize, 5 more. Okay, Hannes, can you conclude and show us the results? Oh yeah, this is clear. You clearly took the time to evaluate your business processes, and you spent more money in 2020 than in 2019 in digital tools, right? We see that the middle, a little bit more or a little bit less, is less represented here. Either you chose to spare money, either you chose to look forward and make the investment. Once again, all these polls, will be available on the website. Voila, ladies and gentlemen, let me take the opportunity to invite you for the third part. This was the second part of the series of webinars on the coming back of the coach sector and on how digital tools and digitalization is helping you to survive this crisis and come out stronger. I'm inviting you on October the 15th, Thursday, October the 15th, for the third part. And there I can already mention that we have speakers from Flecha Maria in Mexico, which is a case that gained profit during this crisis. We'll have a project from the World Bank in Calcutta showing how a digital tool improved the safety during this COVID period in buses and coaches, and also improved the perception of safety in buses and coaches. A very interesting project presented by a representative of the city of Calcutta and supported by the World Bank. So important to know. The Colorado Department of Transportation from the United States will show how flexible reservations helped them to improve their business during these last months. And NetBus from Sweden will illustrate their case on how they could be successful and working during this period again. So 4 interesting speakers again. I hope to see you on October 15th in exactly 1 month. Let me take the opportunity to thank Paolo, Lorena, Paola, Walter, Marika, and José Juan. Thank you so much, guys. I really look forward to see you at one of our next Busworld events, wherever that might be. And I hope to see you live again as soon as possible, right? Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a last question for you in order to improve our webinars and make them even more satisfying to you. Hannes, can you ask the people to mention the score for this webinar? We'll give you a couple of seconds. The question is not very hard. Just fill in what your heart tells you to fill in there. Voila, that's it. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I see you in 1 month, and do not forget, your questions will be answered by early next week and available on the CheckMyBus website and on the Busworld Academy website, as will be the recording of this session. Thank you so much, everybody. See you in 1 month. Dear friends, see you soon. Bye.